So my name is Agam Darshi, and I'm a storyteller. Now, I do a lot of different things, but I guess if you really break that down, then I mostly am an actor and a writer. I really wanted to talk about something that felt very relevant to me in my life at this point, and hopefully it'll feel relevant to some of you as well. But in order to do that, you need to understand a bit about my life, a bit about my childhood. So I was born in Birmingham, England, to Sikh parents. We moved to Montreal when I was 3, and from there we made our pilgrimage west. We moved to Ottawa, to Calgary, to San Jose, to Vancouver, and now I live in Los Angeles. Or at least my house is in Los Angeles, but I feel like I'm a global citizen in a lot of ways. I was what people affectionately term a problem child. My head was always up in the clouds. I almost failed grade 2, which, let's be honest, is really hard to do, but I almost did it. Growing up, my teachers always had the same complaints about me. They would say, she's imaginative, but she's unfocused, she's disorganized, she just doesn't listen. And this went on for years. I just basically thought I was dumb, and my parents were obviously very frustrated. Well, when I was 12, we moved from Ottawa to Calgary. And my parents told me, Agam, this is your chance to start fresh. Brand new slate. And I guess that was the motivation that I needed, because I went from being a D student to like a B+ student. And I started thinking, maybe I'm not so dumb after all. Then I went to high school in Calgary, and I would spend hours after school part of different groups that I was a part of, musical theater, choir, taking extra visual arts classes. I discovered during those 4 years that I was meant to be an artist, and that I was going to be an artist for the rest of my life. This did not mean that I had the lead role in any shows that we produced or we performed. In fact, I was actually pretty shy and had a hard time presenting myself in a confident way. But I did learn what I loved, and knowing what I loved changed everything for me. After high school, I went to University of Calgary. I got a BFA in visual arts and a minor in theater. I loved acting, but I just didn't think that there was any way I could actually make a living out of it. So upon graduation, I moved to Vancouver. I got a job as a graphics designer. My goal was to be a professional photographer and maybe moonlight as an actor doing theater on the side. Well, I had an old teacher and a friend back in Calgary who told me and encouraged me to get an agent, saying, just see what happens. So I figured, well, yeah, if I could do like a commercial or two, just make a little extra money, that'd be cool. So I got an agent and ended up booking my first job, which was a recurring role in a TV series that shot in Regina, Saskatchewan, which I was so excited about because I'd never been to Saskatchewan. But that was basically the beginning of a career that has now spanned 15 years. The little girl who almost failed grade 2 had become an ambitious, hardworking woman. For over 12 years, I worked on series leads in TV shows, filmed all over the world, won awards for my roles. Went back to school, studied screenwriting, I wrote, directed, produced. I co-founded a film festival. I was incredibly, incredibly blessed and lucky, but I also worked incredibly hard. My husband, who is here today, is also an actor, and he and I always put our careers first, even before each other. So if it was date night and we had an audition, we would cancel date night and just stay home and work. If we were on vacation and one of us had a callback, like a really good callback, we would fly home early and spend a lot of money doing it. He denies this, but he says that I'm the only one who did that, but I don't know. I have a few memories. We'll talk about it. Anyways, we are still married, just to let you know. So a few years ago when I got pregnant, I was at a loss as to how to move forward. You see, my husband and I had put off having children for a good 7 years, partly because, mainly because of me, because I didn't know how to do it. I was scared that all the time and energy and momentum that I'd put into my career would be for nothing once we had kids. But eventually something told me that it was the right time. So we got pregnant, and surprise, we're having twins. Yeah. When the doctor told me I was having twins, I didn't know if I should laugh or cry. So I laughed, and then that night I cried. And I cried. And I cried. This was basically the end as I knew it. How are you supposed to have a career and be ambitious and change the world and be the mother of twins? How? I Googled it. Don't ever do that. Seriously, no one has anything good to say about being a parent of twins. But after my initial shock, I took a moment to really let it set in. Not just that I was having twins, but the fact that I was entering motherhood. I had people tell me, don't worry, you may not want to be an actor after having children. Things happen to a woman. It's a different phase. Do you know who you're talking to? Not me. I thought I'm an actor, and I'm always going to be an actor. In fact, I had planned out my pregnancy to the T. Months 1 to 6, I would still audition until they really noticed my belly, during which time I would transition into voice work and read for casting directors and coach other actors. And throughout the whole 9 months, I would also continue finishing up the 3 writing projects and the 1 doc that I'd been working on. Easy. Well, my plans did not turn out. My pregnancy was not glowy or particularly ideal. I was very sick and basically couldn't walk, let alone work. And so for the first time in 12 years, I took a break from my career. I sent out emails to all the people that I had projects with, to my managers and my agents, and talked to them and said, I'm gonna have to put a hold on things indefinitely. A part of me wanted a clean slate. I stopped all social media and I napped. What I found with all this stillness was that I was able to hear my inner voice stronger than ever. And during that time, as most pregnant women know, sleep is hit or miss. And I would find that I would wake up at 3 a.m. every night. And so I started putting the time to good use and I began writing. What I wrote was a one-woman theater show. The babies came a month early. And I have to say the first 2 months of motherhood were a blur and full of breakdowns. I kept hearing people tell me, just use your maternal instincts. And I'm like, I don't have any. I had none. I didn't know what I was doing. I saw these photos of first-time mothers who were full of joy and milk, and I was not that person. In fact, the truth was, I wasn't happy, which is a very unpopular sentiment, but I wasn't. I was suffering from postpartum. Yes, I could see that, but it was more than just something chemical. There was this huge shift in my life, and I kept asking myself, who am I? Am I a mother? Yeah, but what else? So in this blur of what my life had become, I would watch my husband go to work. He was a lead on a series, and he was working on a series that he loved, and he would go to work and have a great day, and then he'd come home and be with his family. And I remember thinking, I want that. I want what he has. I want to do something that I love and then come home and be with people that I love. So I told my agents and my managers that I was going to be choosy, but if something great comes along, I'll audition it. I'll audition for it. Well, a role did come along, and the babies were 2 months old, and I taped myself for this. A little side note, I'm auditioning, my husband's reading with me, and the babies are in a stroller that he's just basically rocking back and forth, lulling them to sleep while I'm doing my scene. But it was worth it because I got the role. I played the love interest of a main character in a comedy, which is wild because I was actually 30 pounds overweight and very tired looking. I would not have cast myself, but that's the beauty of this industry, is that it always kind of takes you by surprise, good and bad. The experience was everything that I needed. It was fun and it was positive, and I worked with great people and came home to my beautiful little humans. And for the first time, I was really happy. And I started thinking, well, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can be an artist and be a mother at the same time. It was during this time that I enlisted the help of a friend of mine to direct this one-woman show that I had written while I was pregnant. I wanted to put this up. And so she would come over to my house, she would take a baby, bounce the baby on her knee while I was acting and doing a monologue, and then give me direction. It's completely unorthodox, but it worked. And 6 months after having these babies, I ended up putting up the play. And it was truly the hardest, most fulfilling work that I had done in many, many years as an actor. So fast forward to today. My boys are 2.5 years old, and I finally, just now, feel like I have a handle on things. Since they were born, I've worked on set a lot. I've won awards. I've been asked to mentor and to be a mentee. I've written a script. All of this to say, it can be done. So I have practical tips on how to maintain your artistry after motherhood. Number 1, ask for help. Raising children takes a village, and you have to find ways to make it work. Parents, in-laws, supportive spouses, best friends, whoever you can find that you trust, get them to help you. Tip number 2, no guilt. Once you ask for help, you're not allowed to feel guilty about it. I'm terrible at this, by the way, but I'm trying to get better. Number 3, value yourself and your work. Can you imagine, just for a second, you go to the office and you start cutting vegetables? Or you're in a board meeting and you start changing a diaper? Like, no, you can't do that. Yet somehow, as artists, we believe that since we work at home, we'll just start writing this thing in between doing a load of laundry and cooking and running after babies. We need to value ourselves as artists and value the time that it takes to create. Number 4, weed out the things that no longer serve you. Motherhood will change you, whether you like it or not. So be conscious of those changes. Really think about what it is that you need and what it is that you don't. Who do you want to become? How do you want to see your life after motherhood? Before getting pregnant, like I said, I had like 3 scripts on the go. I had 1 documentary. I had my own acting work. That was not sustainable after pregnancy. And so I had to think about every single project. Does this project have a future? Do I want to continue with it? In the end, only 1 survived, and I did take time off from it. So weed out the things, the people, the projects, and even the jobs that take time up and that don't serve you and your fullest, joyous, artistic, and spiritual potential. Make a list. What are the 3 things that you need in your life to serve your mind, body, and spirit? Well, for me, it's working out, it's writing, it's meditation. And I know what you're thinking, like, how do you have time to work out and write and meditate and take care of kids? It's impossible. Well, no, not quite. It's not. It's about lowering your expectations as to how long it takes and being consistent. So I created this system. I call it the 20s. Everyone has time to do something for 20 minutes. So even if you have a child who is not a great sleeper, they'll sleep for probably about 20 minutes. So take that time to work out or to write or to meditate or do whatever you need in order to feel fulfilled. And even if you can't do it for 20, do it for 10 or do it for 5. But the thing is that you did it. And the compounded effect of doing it every single day will make a difference to you mentally, spiritually, and physically. Your kids are your muses. Parenthood is hard. There are things, though, that are easy and that lend itself well to being an artist. The depth to which I feel is far easier to connect to than it has been ever before. And as an actor, that's an incredible tool because I don't have to prep for hours hoping that I can sincerely get to an emotional place. I just open my heart, really, and I'm in that zone. It's a secret weapon for artists, so embrace that. And finally, be willing to change. Motherhood will change you. I used to hate those words because I took it to mean that I was going to be less ambitious, less artistic, less Agam. But I got it wrong. Motherhood has changed me. I am still ambitious. I'm still an artist. I'm still Agam. But my emphasis has changed. Where I place my perspective has changed. It's not about amassing credits anymore. It's about amassing meaning. It's not about keeping busy. It's about being efficient with the time that I have. It's not about doing it for me. It's also about showing these little humans that they can do it too. So in conclusion, being an artist and being a mother are not mutually exclusive. Did you see that? I just hit myself. Anyways, that's my ending. Thank you.